Thanks very much. Thank you for coming and for having us. Big fans of Trent and Bruce.
So the problem we're going to be discussing is what needs to happen for smart contracts to make meaningful events happen in the real world.
Basically, the problem we're focused on is connectivity between contracts and the real world. So essentially, today contracts, they can't talk to useful external systems.
So we're going to be talking about solving this problem. So this is the problem that makes it impossible for us to connect to external data sources and receive data about important events.
Are going to be about how do I get a smart contract to work in the securities industry, in the insurance industry, trade finance industry, and many other industries where they basically need to know what's going on externally.
The actual usefulness of smart contracts, in our opinion, is their ability to replace all digital agreements in everything from the financial industry to insurance to trade finance to basically every digital agreement that you can think of. But the way digital agreements work is they need data-driven proof, right? They need proof that something happened in the external world. They needed proof that goods are delivered, that a market price changed, IoT data about an insurable event. Now, smart contracts, they can't know that. That's the fundamental problem.
We feel there's another leap forward. So the next leap forward is taking scriptable smart contracts and allowing them to meaningfully interact with external information and events.
Speaking would be, let's decentralize, let's have multiple people verify inputs, have them come to consensus off-chain, let's have whatever method of consensus between multiple independent node operators to make sure that an input is reliable.
And until smart contracts have the ability to interface with useful inputs and outputs, it's going to be very difficult for them to do anything other than move tokens around. Now, if these highly deterministic, better forms of digital agreement need to be triggered by something, then those triggers need to have those same properties, right? If you have a smart contract system that's very secure and deterministic and reliable, and then it's triggered by highly insecure systems, you arrive at a very strange situation where the end-to-end security is low.
Called Town Crier. Town Crier is an approach developed at IC3 together with Cornell and folks like that. And what that approach focuses on is the use of these trusted execution environments, initially Intel's SGX enclave environment, for the acquisition of data and the return of that data back to the contract.
The goal of our body of work is basically along the lines of creating hundreds of pre-made chain links so that a developer can show up and say, I want to write my core code and I want to have these 3 inputs and these 3 outputs, right? Because the situation we're in today is one where if I'm a developer, like let's say I wanted to build something like Uber, if I didn't have access to a GPS API or an SMS API or a payments API, it'd be very difficult for me to build Uber, right? I'd have to write the core Uber code, then I'd have to go figure out the telecom system, GPS, and payments.
So the first way we're looking at doing that is we're basically taking those hundreds of chain links and we're just making them available on the Polkadot network in either relevant parachains or wherever they need to be made available by publishing a contract that represents that chain link. Right? So there's a contract on chain. The contract on chain says, I'm the contract for Chainlink X, and Chainlink X connects you to data source X.
When they show that completed contract to people, they can say, here's my end-to-end setup, here's my highly reliable input, here's my contract, here's my highly reliable output, here's my highly reliable end-to-end smart contract, which you should feel comfortable putting money into because it's so well made using Chainlink.
Here, creating a stir, making a major announcement acquiring Cornell's Town Crier technology to a standing room full of devs ready to build.
So what we're doing is we're combining 2 of the best projects that are focusing on getting data to contracts, and we're basically combining them into one great project, essentially Chainlink.
And how are you enjoying DevCon so far?
Yeah, so generally speaking, the service agreement will be pretty visible because usually you as a contract, as the contract owner, are going to want to show your counterparties that you have a reliable system for triggering your contract. So you're going to have an on-chain transaction that you can show to your counterparties as a guarantee that here's my contract code, it's been audited, it uses some kind of standardized, it's a derivatives contract, it's very standard. Here's my on-chain transaction to the oracles. and they've all committed to fulfill data delivery. And here are the oracles that are fulfilling that data delivery. And here you can see that they're all very high quality.
We have an on-chain piece of the contract and we have an off-chain piece of the contract, right? The on-chain piece of the contract, in our experience, in our opinion, is probably kept smaller, and it's kept there to basically facilitate information transfer and agreement about the key parts of the contract. And then a lot of the stuff that needs to happen that's either computationally intensive or you want to keep particularly private in today's systems limitations, those types of things happen off-chain.
Another level of security is I have many people checking that it's accurate, but also the people running my software can't tamper with it. All they can do is shut it off. And once they shut it off, their participation in the consensus mechanism or you know, whatever they're doing for the network immediately becomes apparent that they aren't participating.
No, to go to mainnet initially, we don't necessarily need that. Right now, our smart contracts are in audit, and we're going to begin delivering. We have lots of folks that have announced. We have more folks that are going to announce that they're using our system. I think the first step is to just start delivering data to people and to just get some of their proof of concepts and some of their things off the ground. And then the reputation system will become particularly more useful when you have larger amounts of volume, because it'll be based off of larger amounts of volume. So right now our smart contracts are basically in audit, and so great. Thank you very much.